Can she even pronounce her own name? MC Rachel Bloom chuckled into the mic, tilting her head dramatically as the audience laughed. Leah stood under the spotlight, quiet, hands clasped, eyes steady. Her dark cardigan looked too plain among the colorful outfits on set. It was the National Youth Language Challenge, live on NBC. Four students had just been introduced. Rachel now turned toward Leah, the only black contestant, the only one who hadn't spoken. Leah, sweetheart, we couldn't find your language partner today, so I thought, why don't you just sit in for the laughs? Another wave of chuckles. Someone in the crew tried to hide their grin. Leah blinked once. Then looked up. Rachel leaned closer to the camera. We're doing Arabic. Any idea what Maraban Baikum Fi Barnamejna means? Leah tilted her head, exactly like Rachel had. And then, without smiling, replied in perfect, fluent Arabic. It means, welcome to our show. Would you like me to finish your intro script too? The audience gasped. The crew froze. And Rachel Bloom took a full step back. But what Leah said next would silence the entire country. Rachel blinked. The prompter continued scrolling, but she didn't speak. Beside her, the floor manager whispered frantically into the mic. Do we have clearance for this? She's not scripted. Leah took a step forward, not toward the spotlight, but toward truth. In fact, she continued, switching seamlessly between Arabic and English, you mispronounced 3 words in your intro. And you disrespected a sacred greeting. Her voice wasn't loud. But it had weight. A voice used to being ignored, now cutting through millions of screens. Behind the camera, a producer waved his arms. Kill her mic. But something went wrong. The mic stayed on. The feed stayed live. Leah turned to the audience. I was told to sit here quietly because there was no interpreter available. That's not true. The interpreter didn't show, so they assumed the black girl wouldn't know Arabic. Someone in the audience whispered audibly, wait, is she fluent? Rachel forced a laugh. Leah, this isn't serious. Leah looked at her, calm and composed. It wasn't supposed to be. Until you turned me into the joke. And suddenly, no one laughed. From backstage, a voice burst through the comms. Get her off stage. But no one moved. The cameras were still rolling. The studio had gone utterly still. Rachel muttered, you're overreacting. We were just having fun. You're a high schooler, not a scholar. Leah didn't blink. I'm a finalist in the International Linguistics Olympiad. I've studied Arabic for 5 years. And my father, her voice trembled slightly, was a UN interpreter stationed in Cairo until he died in 2020. Rachel looked away. In the silence, the room shifted. Audience members started clapping, tentatively at first. Then louder. The sound pushed forward like a wave. She stood, someone whispered in the control room, and the room, it froze. The producer burst onto the stage. Cut to commercial. The feed blinked black, for exactly 2 seconds. Then came back. Too late. Leah stepped forward again, now fully in the spotlight. Your show claims to celebrate language and culture. But what you did was make assumptions based on my skin. You mocked what you didn't expect me to understand. Rachel opened her mouth, then closed it. Behind them, the studio screen flickered. A montage began, clips of Leah from her school's language club, reading Arabic poetry, presenting papers on dialect evolution. Someone from the crew, Emily, the assistant editor, had pulled it up live from YouTube, quietly working behind the scenes. The audience rose to their feet. Even the control room applauded. Rachel slowly stepped forward. I didn't know, Leah. I was wrong. She looked visibly shaken. I didn't mean harm. But I see now, I made you small on purpose. And you weren't small. Leah nodded once. I don't need an apology. I just needed to speak. Then she turned, and walked off stage. But the silence stayed behind her. Moments later, the channel's executive producer came running. We want her back. Not as a contestant. As a co-host. We've never seen something so real. At home, kids across the country whispered her name. In the cafeteria the next day, a girl stood up and said, "If she can speak, I can too." A week later, the network launched a special episode called Voices Unmuted. Leah sat at the center of the studio, no longer under lights she didn't control, but seated beside them. Rachel Bloom entered quietly, not in heels, but in flats. Not with jokes, but with notes scribbled by hand. Before the cameras rolled, she turned to Leah. "I'd like you to open the show today," Rachel said. Leah paused. Then gently took the mic. "This is not about shaming anyone," she said softly. "It's about listening louder than we judge." Behind her, the new banner faded in, "Language is power. And power belongs to all of us." No applause. Just breath held still. No one moved. But everyone understood. Sometimes, the strongest language isn't spoken, it's revealed through courage, restraint, and knowing when to stand up. Leah didn't seek power, she simply reclaimed her voice. And in doing so, she reminded us that dignity isn't earned by applause but by authenticity. If this story moved you, share it. And if you believe in hidden voices rising, subscribe for more.